All right, there we go. Everything looks good on this side. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we feeling?
Hey, feeling great.
Feeling great. Good morning. Good morning.
Awesome. That's a good start. It means we're up for a good live stream. So we have about 50 viewers right now, mostly on X. We're probably gonna let it cook a bit more before we see more people joining in. So we're gonna have a little casual conversation for a minute, and then we're gonna go into the real thing. We're live on three different sources right now. We're live on X, we're live on YouTube, and we're also live on LinkedIn. So our viewers are gonna be from all over the place, and hopefully they're gonna enjoy the conversation we're about to have. How are you feeling? Bonjour, you're in Dubai still. How is it like there? How was Breakpoint? How are you feeling?
I feel great. Yeah, I'm in Dubai, so the weather is not that sunny today for once, but I feel great. And Breakpoint was amazing. There was as well Solana Economic Zone, the Abu Dhabi Finance Week, and the Binance Week before. So it's been quite a lot in the UAE. But it was very inspiring. A lot of good people, very insightful as well, especially during this time when the market's not as good. It's good to connect with the ecosystem leaders and the different builders. So very inspiring, and I'm grateful for this. So yeah, and I'm happy to have you today, David, as well.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually not morning. You said good morning. I said good morning. It's not morning for me. I'm actually based in Asia. I'm in Korea right now, so it's evening. It's approaching later evening for me, dinner time. But yeah, I didn't make it to Breakpoint, but I heard it's great. We had 3 team members there. I heard it was really good event.
Yeah, I think I saw Ron from far away. I saw his silhouette, so I was like, he was probably there.
He was there for sure. So that's a possibility. Yes.
Okay. That's good. Just a quick question. Usually when you, especially at this time, when you go to this event, like what is the main purpose for you guys?
Well, I guess it depends on really where we are in our journey as a company. It's talking to potential investors into the company, talking to partnerships with other projects. It also depends on the kind of event, I guess, you're going to. If it's more developer centric, like really engaging with developers, obviously something I enjoy doing. But yeah, at this stage, it's like really talking to partners and building the right partnerships for us to build out the ecosystem we're trying to build.
Okay, good.
Good introduction. I feel like people know us already so much better. I'm based in Croatia, by the way. I'm just gonna add that I just came back from Breakpoint as well, so I'm still a bit jet lagged. It's been 2 days, but the weather went from like 27 degrees Celsius back to 0, so I'm still struggling to fit in. But it's
great.
It's getting.
I didn't know Croatia gets this cold. I thought Croatia
it gets really cold.
A bit of a warmer place.
especially inland. The part no one talks about. That's where everything gets really cold.
Okay, good. Yeah.
All right. Been a few minutes. We have more people coming in, so we're gonna slide into this more unique view where our faces are more easily shown. And I'm gonna do the introductions. So, hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, good day, depending on where you are, like we just discussed. I'm joined here by 2 very interesting individuals who are going to be having a conversation regarding bringing AI agents to life and what's needed for the real world adoption. So I'm joined by Bourgeois, the head of business development for Nosana, and I'm joined by David, the co-founder of Theoric Labs. So, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to do a brief introduction about yourself and what your company is doing, how you're feeling right now, and well, the rest is going to flow into a natural conversation over time. So, David, kick off. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, happy to do that. I'm like I said, thank you for the introduction. I'm the co-founder at Theoric Labs. We started the company as January. We're really the team building out Theoric. What Theoric is doing, excited about, is AI agents, and more specifically AI agents in Web3, and even more specifically in DeFi. So we're working at the intersection of AI agents and DeFi, and enabling AI agents to autonomously sort of get together, coordinate, and solve DeFi tasks on behalf of Web3 users. And we are aiming to build out an ecosystem that really brings together all of the AI agents that are out there, AI agent projects that are out there, and have them work together to solve things on behalf of a growing Web3 user base, around, for example, management of capital, and we're building out the technology infrastructure that really makes that happen, so that is secure and that agents can be trusted. That's what we've been building at Theoric. I'm happy to go into more detail, but leave it at that for now, I guess.
Thank you. No, I do have a question, but we're gonna let Bourgeois do an introduction, and then we can ask you, because this conversation might get technical a bit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can ask the question because David is in the flow, and I think it's good for people.
Okay. So for those, there's some in the audience who are perhaps not very technical. Obviously, AI agents have become a huge thing in the last, I would say, about 6 months, I believe, but now they're even bigger than ever before. So for those who maybe do not know exactly what they do, they're familiar with AI as a whole term, but they don't know what these AI agents are. And since you're working with them so much, maybe you can give us a little simpler explanation of what these AI agents do and how do they help you and how do they help the world, maybe even better.
I think that's a great question, and I think I'd be lying to say there's like one definition that is universally accepted for what an AI agent is and what AI is. How I like to think about it is AI agents are software programs that more autonomously act and do something on behalf of users, whereas with AI, traditionally you had like maybe very powerful algorithms, but you had to manually trigger them. They did something for you. You had a structured output you needed to work with and then put into whatever business process or whatever task you were needing that output for, whereas AI agents are doing this really autonomously, and they're doing this powered by language models, which enables them to, one, really take in any task, any input in natural language, so really working with unstructured data sets, text, but also produce very meaningful output in the form of text, because that's obviously what language models like GPT, GPT-4, GPT-5 are good at.
I have a question for you, David, because it's a very clear definition. And in the definition, I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that then it can be broad. So AI agent can be applied in many different industries for many different use cases. So why, in your case, you decided to focus on the DeFi vertical?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. Obviously, if you want to bring together AI and Web3, and Web3 really does a lot. DeFi is just like the number one focus area in Web3, like what people are super excited about. And it's also a big, like AI agents exist in Web2 and Web3, but I think Web3 is uniquely sort of positioned to solve some of the challenges around transactions, payments, management of capital, and doing so on chain while securing the agents. So we as a company thought that that's the most like natural fit for AI agents in Web3, and that's the most value also bringing Web3 to Web2 in the case of AI agents.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a good question.
Yeah. Okay. I understand better. I mean, to stop the suspense, because I have to introduce myself as well, and I will use this as a bridge. DeFi brought me to crypto, so I fully understand what you mean. And for me, DeFi is one of the biggest vertical in crypto, and crypto is DeFi, and DeFi is crypto. Like I like to say that it's a little bit my vision. And yeah, for the one that don't know me, I'm Bourgeois. I'm the head of business development at Nosana. So I'm I like to say I'm the cowboy, the guy on the field. That deal with partners, clients, and I try to find a solution to the different issues that we have to face, because we're a startup, we're still growing. And yeah, that's a little bit what I'm doing in a nutshell.
That's great. I also have a lot of questions, but I'll keep them for later, I guess.
Yes. Just for the audience, so you know, David has mostly he's a CTO, so he has a technical background. And I have more a business background, so it's very complementary, and that's why we're gonna try to keep this conversation very, I would say, alive, and try to cover both aspects, the technical aspect, the business aspect, but we'll try to keep it high level. And if you have any questions, you can always ask it afterwards or during the chat as well.
I mean, I guess maybe just more question. I lead the product side, so I'm a CPO, but I do tend to be very technical, so I try to be as business friendly as I can in this conversation.
Yeah, for the normies like us. All right, Dennis.
Correct.
Yeah.
What the yeah.
So
what
far,
is-
the introductions were good. I feel
Okay.
like it was very good. So I'm gonna go into the next one. We're gonna start the conversation because I feel like the introduction has been laid out. People know who you are. People know their backgrounds. People know who's more technical and who's more business oriented. So they already know we're up for a good show. But let's talk about the topic itself. So the topic is bringing AI agents to life, and we just discussed what AI agents are and what they do, and why they are so important. So now we're going to move into the next stage of the team and what it requires for real world adoption, because that is where what we're trying to do in the near future, and that's what we're trying to do now, I guess. So David, as a more technical of the two of us or three of us, when we talk about the real world adoption, what are we actually talking about? Just beyond the demos and the showcases, what do we talk about when we talk about real world adoption of AI agents?
Yeah, I think this is a great question in a way. And as a product person, it's not very different to a non-AI product where essentially what you want to see is users adopting your product and constantly coming back to using it because it's doing something very useful for them. And so what we're seeing is obviously when in the case of AI, many people are like, hey, this is exciting, I want to try it. But it's also very important to see that the people are coming back and ending up using the technologies or products you're building. So instead of like, for example, hey, this is great, but I can do the same with ChatGPT, which is actually one effect I'm seeing quite a bit. Like, what does the AI agent actually do different than me just asking the same question to ChatGPT? And let's face it, it's a very powerful tool that's doing more and more. So where's the extra value coming in? And that value has to be there so that users are coming back and are continuously excited by the product you're building. And that's for me is like adoption. Not very different to non-AI products, but certainly you have it. The competition is very clear.
Oh, I see. Bourgeois, do you have an opinion on this? As someone who's also in the business side of things, so you've seen many projects come and go. How do you feel about the state of things as they are right now?
I like what David said. I think the part that is the word that resonates a lot with me is autonomously. So that it does the task autonomously. So you don't have to initiate all the actions. And the other word that is very important for me, I think, when I hear adoptions, it means productions. It means that it's ready to be used. It means that it is efficient and that it brings value. And that, as we discussed during the introduction, then because it brings value, it will attract other people to use it. So it's not just a demo or whatever. It really means that a large part of the population will be ready to use it, and it will increase and improve the life, the quality of life of a lot of people. So that's what I mean by real life adoption. And the way I like to see as well, it has to solve an issue. So when AI agents will be able to solve proper issues, like in this case, it can be DeFi and so on, and that's what Theoric is trying to do. Then we can talk about real life adoptions, because let's say you, Dennis, or I, we're busy with work, or even David, and you want to run your portfolio properly, and you would like to just define an AI agent with a certain risk profile, so he can invest for you and he can manage your portfolio for you, define on the risk profile. I think that's a very good use case, for instance. And this, for instance, solve a lot of issues, because then you can save time, you can save energy, you can save costs, and that can generate revenue for an individual. So I really think that for me, adoptions mean production and ready to use in a seamless way, and you can scale it and so on and so on. So that's why it means for me.
I think you bring a good point. I think autonomously acting agents is really what makes a big difference to say a ChatGPT or Anthropic UI, where you go in and you ask a question, you get a response. I think agents doing something on your behalf, either directly or indirectly, because they act, for example, in managing a Web3 on-chain vault, but you still benefit from that, is very different to what you would get through more of a UI. So that's, I guess, the difference where AI agents really can make a difference over other AI products that are obviously very frequently used that are out there.
Yes, exactly. And also, I really think that on the long term, because with the research and development and all the progress that is being done with AI agent, I really think that on the long term, AI agent will like companies will hire like the most performant AI agent, the most profitable ones, and that's also adoption for me, because if at the end of the day, no, they will engage, obviously will engage human beings, but at some point we'll also engage a AI agent that will take care of like the customer service and all these type of things. And yeah, that's my vision of adoption, and that's a more like, I would say, not only business wise but real life vision.
Yeah, but I think you brought up another good point. Maybe I'm preempting some of the questions that were coming, but that's like production quality and readiness. Obviously, and that's something we can deep dive into if there's interest, but obviously it's not necessarily as straightforward to build a production system that one getting adoption is great, but it also has to be live, it has to work.
Exactly.
And getting to that stage is challenging. That's obviously the journey we've been going through, which if interesting, I'm happy to talk about as well.
Yes, exactly. Usually we say, I like to say that right now we're still a little bit in a test environment. And for me, adoption is production environment. So it's ready, we ship V1, V2, and we keep increasing and improving.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
Now, this is exactly what I want to follow up, because during this conversation, both of you included the word future a lot. So in the future, adoption will become a very important thing. It's going to happen eventually. Why is it not happening now? What's going on? Why is it so hard still for companies and startups and projects to start adopting it right now in real time? Are we very early still? What would be the main blockade, I think, for this adoption that we mentioned so frequently in this last couple of minutes? Because currently I think we're still not there and we need to cross the chasm. But how do we get there? And I guess the most important question is, why is it so hard right now to do? What's blocking us from proceeding further?
Yeah. You want to take it first, David, or I'll take it first?
I mean, whatever. I'd be happy to give it a shot. And that's something I think about a lot. I actually don't necessarily think we aren't there yet. It really depends on what areas you're looking at. Like one of the areas where AI agents obviously have a lot of adoption is in, for example, coding, right? You have AI agents doing a lot of work on the coding front. And what I'm actually seeing, and that's just not only for us, but also other companies, is that if you know how to use the tools, it really boosts your output as a company. I mean, obviously, you have to be very careful with those tools that are given to you, but I think there's a lot of adoption on the tools like Cursor or whatnot that is out there in terms of coding. And that's just one example. And I think we're seeing more and more adoption also coming in other areas. But I think because of the space is so emerging and it's not clearly defined, it's also hard to I guess differentiate between all of the different products that are out there, and then just like it's hard to label like what is actually falling in this category, and you kind of need to do that to then assess what's the adoption looking like. But I'm also happy to deep dive into like some of the challenges we are seeing around like on the technical side, like very high level, why this is difficult. But before doing that, maybe Bourgeois, I give you the chance to also respond.
Yeah. I don't know if I will challenge a bit the question. I don't know if hard is the good word, because when did we meet actually, David? We met like a year ago, something like that.
I think, yeah, in Korea, I think Korea Blockchain Week about a year ago is probably when we first met. Yeah,
exactly. And the reason why I asked this question is, and it's just to bounce back on what you said, David, Dennis, we're still early. So like what I would say is, in such a short time already, I can see that Tariq has made a lot of progress. And also Tariq, I think it's a young startup. You were not there like 10 years ago and so on. So the progress that has been done during this time frame is already insane. What has been built already like for a year, and it's a blank page as well. So we written on everything is created from scratch, you know. And it's innovation, it's research, it's development, all type of things. So that's why I agree with David. There is already many use cases and many tools that are like being used. Obviously, we we have to improve them, obviously, but we have to start from somewhere. And we're not at 0. We already did 0 to 1. Now we're like 1 to 5, and then we want to go to 1 to 7, and then to 7 to 10, and so on and so on. And I think it's a progress, it's a journey, and that's basically what we're doing. So the hard part is just the natural difficulty of building from scratch and facing the different challenges, and then fine-tuning and improving the different product, and then understanding as well what are the actual needs and how we can pivot, and how we can prioritize the right features and the right progress that needs to be made, I would say.
And that's great. I think you brought up a good point, and that's well, the space is evolving, and with that, it's also the space is evolving really fast. And every day, almost every day, you get new tools you need to work with and adapt because other players are adapting, which just also makes it really hard to have something established that's out there. But it's obviously it's like if you, for example, use AI coding a year ago, it was really, really bad. The output was probably not something you would want to use in any kind of professional context, right? Whereas now you get to an output that, with the review of an experienced engineer, is actually helpful. So it starts to replace, for example, more junior coders, junior engineers quite quickly, which is also a bit scary, but that's just the way the space is evolving, and it's evolving really fast. I guess the other thing I wanted to address for the question, more on a technical level, but keeping it simple, it's hard to build for this space because what we really think about as useful in the space is not like a monolithic, this is a single AI agent that solves everything. It's actually multiple smaller AI agents working together, and they may be coming even from different sources. And so then the question becomes different developers, how do you establish the right infrastructure that supports these agents to work together? How do you make it so that you have so many different moving pieces, different code quality, different ways they have been approached from a developer standpoint, that they can actually coordinate and communicate with each other? But also if single pieces fail in these multi-agent systems, and even if they all come from the same developer, they might still be developed in different ways. Like if single pieces fail, how do you detect that quickly? How do you replace that failing piece, the failing agent, and make it so that the entire system is up and running constantly? Essentially building, it's a very complex, modular and complex system with multiple different moving parts that you sort of have to keep in check and coordinate. I guess not different to some modern software architectures where you have very, very different microservices communicating with each other, is how you can think of the multi-agent reality as well. But it's just there's a lot of engineering challenges in keeping such a system in place and in production, from what we've been seeing.
Yeah. When you put it like that, it really makes me think how actually we're approaching this really fast. We're actually evolving quite fast. Because Bourgeois said basically, we're filling a blank page, right? We're not fixing previous issues. We're creating new product, and we're creating new stuff here. So future developer generations and versions of us down the line are gonna be fixing what we wrote right now. But we're still so early that we can't really fix anything in terms of fixing something from before, because we're still building it. And now that you added the part where different developers, different projects, different startups build different parts of the system, I would say it's actually quite fascinating how far we've evolved. So it makes me actually very, very excited about what's going to come in the few years once we actually start looking back at what we built and start fixing it and improving it even more, which actually makes me quite excited about it.
I have based on what you just say, gentlemen, and especially what you said, David, I think it's very interesting because then it means there are so many variables in the equations, and but then how do you think that will come, especially on the technical side? How do you see that you will come up with a common background or common framework for all these AI agents and between all these developers? Because as you mentioned, even though it comes from the same developers, how do you define a framework that said okay, this is the nice plug and play, and because you respect we respect a common standards, then it's easier to scale up and to aggregate and to orchestrate and to do all these type of things. Because right now, as you say, if everyone is building in an isolated way and their own stuff and so on, it's gonna be difficult to to come together and
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And what ultimately the answer is, we need standards, and there are some emerging standards already. Obviously, one thing we are building, what we have as Theoric on the protocol side. So the protocol sort of supports the agent communication coordination, is an SDK. So it's a developer toolkit that it puts in place some of those standards. But if you look into the market as a whole, the standards are emerging. It started with MCP, which is a way agents can connect with data sources. And then you had agent to agent, which is a Google solution for sort of trying to establish agent communication standards. And it's continuing. And you have Ethereum standards, for example, for what is an agent and how do you make it available on chain. And it's great that the market has headed in that direction, because really you need to standardize. I think on the implementation side, we treat the implementation as a black box, but the interface, so how the agents talk to each other and communicate with each other, those need to be aligned. Otherwise, you just don't know. Like, you don't speak the same language.
Exactly.
And if you don't speak the language, you cannot communicate. Luckily, the world is headed in that direction. And I guess I want to highlight that I think Web3 can play a really important role here, because for example, on the payment side, there's a lot of technology on the Web3 side that is important, or enforcing standards by, for example, putting things on chain. And one of the things we are seeing is it's also Web3 can be, for example, really helpful if you build a financial ecosystem around AI agents. Like, how do you actually trust an agent? Like, make it so that, and if the agent is not behaving accordingly, which obviously there's incentive to do so, if you want it to be fraudulent, like, how do you make it so that that's not an option? And so Web3 obviously has tools like, hey, you can stake on an agent, or you can build a system that allows users to stake on an agent. So you can slash that agent, for example. The agent loses. There's an economic disincentive. You're not incentivized economically to misbehave. And like, there's a lot of these things and moving pieces that actually need to be put into place. And I guess that's just the state we're in, and lots of challenges still to be solved.
Yeah, actually, that's why I like these live sessions and talking with founders and CTO as well, because it's very insightful, and I have many questions and the point that I want to challenge a little bit, to pick up a little bit your brain. And one of the question that come with it is, how about the regulation as well, and the regulatory aspect? Because obviously, as you said, like, you want to make sure that it's standardized, but not only on the tech side, because on the tech side you have already like all these challenges that you just explained. But you want to make sure that the communication between the different agents is good, but you also want to make sure that the interaction between the different layers are good, the infrastructure layer, the data layer, and so on, and the application layer, and so on and so on. So now, are you already at the stage where you have to take care of the regulation aspect and the compliance aspect of the things? Because doing AI agent, for instance, for DeFi and financial use cases means that you have to deal with financial data as well. So how do you tackle this aspect on top of already all the challenges that you have to face on the technical side?
I mean, I have to say, we luckily have people in the company, or on the Theoric side, on the foundation side, who are much better in dealing with these questions. But certainly, I'd say we see ourselves as both on the infrastructure side, but also obviously to kickstart the infrastructure building agents. And what we are doing on that front is, and regulation is a very complex point, because really, depending on the country you look into, or the region you look into, you get very different things out of it. We are certainly trying to be as safe as possible, working with lawyers, and if we feel like there's a place of the world where we just can't support, because the technology we have, we just don't give access to that, and that's just how you have to work as a startup. But that's as far as my understanding goes, because we really have a foundation team working with the lawyers to go through these things. But you're right, that's a very complex topic, and I do think in the case of AI agents, that's even less understood than it might be, for example, in more traditional DeFi or traditional finance.
Yeah, I fully understand, and I think sometimes being a founder or being in a startup it can be very romanticized on the social network and everything like that. But it's good to see as well, that you have to deal with this type of equations with so many variables, and that's the type of thing that can keep you alive during the night as well. because you want to figure out, okay, how do I solve this, and what is the first issue I have to solve right now in order to move on, in order to go to the next step. So thank you for sharing that with us. And beside that as well, I think, and that's something I want to add to what Dennis said. I think that's something that has to be not neglected, especially on the startup side, is AI agent. There is a sort of race because everything goes so fast, and then you have to have the resources to face the cost and so on, because to make all this development, I'm pretty sure that it requires a lot of cost. So and resources in order to make sure that you win the race, or you're like ahead of the other people, you have to allocate all these resources and cost. So that's also something that I guess you have to face, David, to make sure that you prioritize the right element and the right resources.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk a little bit about that. I think the biggest cost factor in complex AI agents are actually the language models and language model calls, whether you host them yourself, which is not usually the best solution because the most powerful models are unfortunately not open source and readily available. So you do end up having to connect to some of the APIs that are proprietary. For example, obviously the GPT APIs from OpenAI. And for simple AI agents, it's not super costly if you ask a simple question, get a simple result. But what we're seeing in this multi-agent systems, that every agent has to make these calls multiple times, again and again, sometimes with complex input and complex output, and it easily racks up the cost. So if you have a complex task that an AI agent is doing, it can cost you anywhere from a few cents to like $1 or even more if it gets really, really complex for a call with the best model that is out there. And then obviously initially, as you grow what it is you're doing, you want to get adoption, you have to fund some of these things. And we're also seeing that with companies like OpenAI, obviously spending billions of dollars on whatever it is they're doing. And there's a lot of, to win the race, you kind of have to start funding these things and get people excited before you actually, I think, are positive in terms of cash flow, right? That's just like how, I guess, the space works.
Yeah, true. And that's also why, I'm going to put my sales hat right now. That's also why we build Nasana. It's to make sure that we can support startups to mitigate this cost, especially on the infrastructure layer, and that with our GPU marketplace and so on. Where we've been working so hard on this because we noticed that it is really like one of the challenges that we want to solve. Jesse and Trude had to solve it as well earlier in the career, and now we want to make sure that we can provide a solution to the different SMBs, to different researchers, to the different students, universities, whatever organizations they need to have access to GPUs to compute. They can come to us and they can have access to it in a cheaper, easy way, and we make sure as well that it is seamless and so on. And we're not perfect yet, but we keep on working on it and to improve it. And we're already on production on mainnet and so on. And yeah, our goal is to make your life easier, basically. And I appreciate that you shared the experience with the audience, because it's important that they know that it is like one of the core factor in order to grow.
Yeah, I think that's great. And obviously there are open source models out there that are quite powerful, and training them for specific use cases on GPU infrastructure is costly. And so you want to find the best solution that's out there. And then it's great that people have a chance to work with you guys to make that happen.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I wanted to just add into it that we initially wanted to ask you about something that how did these AI agent companies, startups succeed in practice, but you kind of already answered this. So I'm going to move into the next one, which is also something that we just recently talked about, which is infrastructure. And infrastructure plays a huge role, especially for scaling. So let's say you have a startup and it goes well, you start, but now you need to scale. What role would infrastructure play when you're trying to scale AI agents and AI agent technology? I feel like that's very important to discuss.
Yeah, I think that's a very great point. I don't necessarily think it's specific to our agents, but when you have a choice to make when you start a company. It's like you just really just put out a product that's not scalable, but it's out there fast. So what amount of scalability do you build in? If you have experienced engineers, for them it's just a little bit of extra effort, from my experience, to actually build out technology that is scalable from the beginning. And so that's sort of been the approach we've been taking. I think we've seen that even our first testnet, we have had millions of users hammering the AI agents with a lot of questions, and we didn't really get into any issue with that. And that's because we made that intentional decision to at least build a decent degree of scalability in. But obviously, the flip side is you could launch something really quickly, especially with like coding tools that are out there. But then it's not going to be scalable, but you'd have something out there really quickly. But maybe the final point I'd like to make is obviously if you're trying to build at the intersection of AI and DeFi, you kind of have to be maybe a little bit extra careful. You're not building a game, anything fun. You're building things that people rely on more, and that's maybe interacting with actual funds or financial infrastructure. And so you do want to make sure you build it right, you build it scalable from the beginning to the degree you can.
I love that you say you're not building a game. People will be typing, challenging you afterwards.
I mean, I guess it's just like I guess there are many games out there, and I'm also a gamer, right? There are many games out there just launch and they're not functional, and that's an experience. And then people still play the game, and it's getting updated, and eventually it's going to be fully functional. So it's not as like you couldn't do that, I guess, in DeFi where you launch and it's not fully functional from the beginning.
Yeah,
true.
There's actual money in the game you can lose, which is quite more serious.
Exactly. So basically, what you're trying to say is that you have to be very careful about the choice you make early stage, because the infrastructure is your foundation, and then you build on top of it. And if you have a shaky foundation, then it means that you're building a castle on the sand.
It's right. It's a trade-off, and it's actually an optimization problem, right? How much do you want to move fast, but potentially have to rework, but you learn while you're moving fast, or how much do you want to build the right things from the beginning? And I think even in the same company, depending on the kind of product and feature you're launching, sometimes the decision can be either way or the other. So it's really case by case.
Yeah. And it's really case by case that you can see what you prioritize. If you prioritize speed or the solid, the solid but like long-term solution.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I get that.
That actually leads into the next I guess question, which is more for the audience and anyone's hearing this and being inspired by it. David, this one's for you because you just mentioned it's very difficult. Like either you build fast, but the foundation is shaky, or you build a foundation, but it takes you more amounts of time. How do you find the perfect equilibrium? How do you find the perfect balance between going fast but actually making things scalable? It probably depends from industry to industry, from DeFi to, like you said, games, from other things. But how was it for you to figure out, where to find the balance? Because if you're moving too slow, you're building a quality product, sure, but the market's gonna outpace you. So how did you find the balance?
Yeah, I think it's a great and very important question. And I wish there's a straightforward answer. I don't think there is. Like maybe my mental framework is the more you're down in the stack, if you deal with like data, backend infrastructure, and you reasonably know what it is you're going to be building, it's probably worthwhile to invest the time and build it thoroughly. Whereas if you're more like up in the stack, for example, a UI feature, you don't usually risk that much by putting out a UI feature that's like just partially functional, or for example, it works on 90% of all devices. It doesn't work on mobile, but you get a lot of feedback. If you really want it to break fast, sometimes that's an okay trade-off. So one of the ways to put it is obviously how much are you in the stack, where are you in the stack, and I guess the other way to put it is how certain are you that what you're building is something you continue to use and is going to be a foundation for what it is you're building. Again, if you're building a backend and you're building it right, and you can reuse it for every feature you're going to launch on top of it going forward, then potentially even saving time by building it right. But if you don't know that that's exactly what you need, and you end up scratching everything and building from scratch again, maybe a month later, then it's wasted effort. So that's like, how sure are you? How sure are you that that's a feature you're going to need and it's going to be sustainable for the longer term? You need that for the longer term. And where are you in the stack? Like, is it something that's more user facing but there's less risk, or is it like backend, and if that crashes, everything else falls apart, then you probably want to be more safe.
100%. Fully agree. We had some discussion with our CTO as well, and the co-founders as well, and and the management team, and it goes literally in that direction. You have to see what kind of trade-off you have to make, and how, as we said, like how is it, like if it is one of the foundation and we're gonna build on top of it, then it's better to take time and to make sure that this foundation is good. So, and especially if you're sure that we're gonna build on top of these things, then okay. And if we're not sure and we don't know, if you don't know, then you know. Usually, that's what I'm saying. Then it's better to go with the fast track.
Bonjour, I got something for you as well. We were
Tell me.
technical a little bit, but I got some BD stuff for you because while I was in Breakpoint, everyone I was meeting was a business dev. Everyone's a business dev these days, but there's so many projects, there's so many startups. So the thing is, they come up to you and they say, "Well, we're building the next level AI project that's gonna do this or that." As a more experienced business developer, how do you build trust among potentials when you go to conferences, for example, and you're talking to all these projects and you're building something, but there's a lot of competition. I wouldn't say everyone, but there's a lot of them building similar things. How do you stand out from that crowd? Because I feel like there's always going to be founders who are also going to be business developers, and they're going to be putting themselves in places where they have to make that sale and they have to make that partnership happen. But it's very hard in the space because there's so much competition. So what would your little secret be that helps you get in touch with these starters, VCs, and build their trust?
So how do I build trust amongst all of these people?
Perhaps. Doesn't have to be you personally, but if you were just mentoring or suggesting something to a potential BD, how would you approach it?
The way I say it, and I think I said during Breakpoint, I think I told you.
Yes.
The way I trust someone is if you don't listen to my needs and my challenges, and we're trying to sell something, then I won't necessarily trust you. But if someone listen and understand my need, and you try to provide a solution to an issue and to provide value, and I think it's easier for people to trust you, especially in this ecosystem, because so many people they come and they pitch, but they pitch like robots, and they don't try to understand the audience they have in front of them. So if I will come and pitch to David, he's a CTO, so I will pitch a product in a different way, in a different manner, that if I pitch it to, let's say, to a sales guy and so on. And the reason is just because I want to make sure that there is a conversation and there is actual communication, and that we can see how we can find a common ground, and what we can solve and what we can do together. If you cannot do anything together, it's fine, And I think that's how you can first build trust, because at the end of the day, I truly believe that people they don't necessarily first buy the product, they buy the person, And as a BD, you're ambassador of your company, and often I said that you have to move a little bit like you're a co-founder, but just with a different upside, because at the end of the day, you have to find a solution. You have to, you have to make their life easier. You have to be the right arm. You have to be the eyes behind the back. You have to understand stuff, and you have to deal with a little bit a 360 view, which means that you have to understand if you have the token, you have to understand a little bit what are the interests and how does it work for the token holders, why they will buy your token, how it can be beneficial for them. You have to understand the company, the community. You have to understand the people that use the product, so the clients. If it is B2B, it's a different approach than if it is B2C. Then you have to understand the partners, the ecosystem. What are the trends? What is the next wave? There are just so many things. The regulation, so many things, and in order to do so, you have to do your homework, obviously, but you also have to have the right conversation with people and understand, listen, read, and that's how I would say I build trust, And when you have a word, you give your word. You do your best to make it happen. So you have to be consistent, reliable, and at the end of the day, to be honest, it is a small space. So people will know when you do good work, and then your reputation will be built very quickly. If if you're shaky, if you're shady, then people will know it as well very fast, because it's easy to double check who is doing what, and who is trustworthy on that.
Right. So the key takeaway is to be reliable, but also very trustworthy. So you have to know what you're saying, and you have to believe in it. Then no shady stuff.
Yeah.
Anything shady
Exactly.
happens, everyone knows who you are, and it's gonna not work anymore.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, it's not about, there are two types of skills. There are soft skills and the hard skills. Soft skills are harder to get, but I think the hard skills, everyone can get them. So it's not about, for me, what you know, because you can learn fast if you put the work in it, and if you dedicate yourself. But it's really about, especially when you do, conferences, business, and you deal with VCs, investors, and all type of things. It's really about the way you move and how you connect with people. If you really try to bring some value, or if you're just here to take from people, and abuse of the different trust and so on.
I feel like someone in the audience just learned something very, very interesting, and they're gonna apply this to their next pitch. But thank you for this. I feel like it's a good closer. So before we move on, or before we close the whole call, but I feel it was very productive. Let's use this as an opportunity to say what each of us is building. David, you can start first. For example, what are you focusing on in Theoric right now that the audience might find interesting, or maybe not right now, but something that you recently did that you're very proud of?
Yeah, there's a lot I could talk about. Maybe I have to keep it short. So we as Theoric launched mainnet this week, so we're super excited about the launch. I would invite everybody to come test it out. You can find the link to what we call Alpha Studio, which is our the app where you can interact with AI agents and the different products we're building through our website, so theoric.ai, and you can click, and you should be able to just get in. And the good starting point would be there's actually a Theoric agent that tells you everything you can do and guides you through the different things you can interact with in our ecosystem. So that would be the starting point. So that's one thing we're super excited about, because we just launched this. The key product we're building out right now is what we call Alpha Vault. So maybe I make that point before closing. Alpha Vault is really a vault product, which is like, depending on the technical level you are, vaults are pretty straightforward in Web3, pretty common. But like, for those who are less familiar with the DeFi space, it's like an on-chain space where, for us, AI agents can get together and they can curate funds or liquidity that is being put in a smart contract, but they can say, hey, for example, do this, do that to the smart contract, but they cannot control the funds. They cannot run away with the funds. It's a secure environment for AI agents to direct what is happening to capital and liquidity on chain. And that's a product we're building out more and more, while we're building out the AI agents that are sort of acting in this space and looking for partnerships in this space as well. So lots of exciting stuff going on. So as a user, try us out. As an agent builder, I'd love to connect and just discuss the agents you're building and how we can work together.
Nice.
Absolutely. Nice. Thank you,
David. I have a very random question, David. Why did you call it Theoric?
You have to ask the marketing department for that decision.
It wasn't the founder's idea. It was the marketing.
I think it is a bit of a mix. Obviously, the company started as Chain ML, and then AI became more hyped than ML, and so this is more like this is like the labs team now building things. The foundation was started as Theoric. One of the reasons we came up with a name, and that's maybe a good answer or fun answer, is we actually asked AI to name the company, and that's describe what we were interested in, what we're building, and the AI. In this case, the GPT came up with the name, and it made it through different cycles, and we stuck with the name. And like, it sounds like almost a made-up story, but it's actually true. Like, the company was named with the help of AI.
Very poetic.
That's a good closing.
Nice. I like that. AI building the name. Nice.
That's good.
Yeah. What about you, BJ? What are you working on? Actually, what are we working on? I kind of know about this already, but I want to build suspense.
We're like in the same team.
No, it's almost like we know.
Yeah, exactly. So right now we have, obviously you have heard about it. We have the Nosana grant that's been launched. recently. So we have already a couple of applications, and the idea is, as we discussed during this whole presentation, is really to support the AI environment. So how we do that is we provide compute, and right now, if you're builders, if you're SMB, and so on, you can apply for it. Everything is on the website. You can also go double check on the Twitter. There is a video that has been released by different press release. So, and you see short explaining a little bit in more details what we aim for and why we're doing this. And this video is great. So, yeah, to TLDR, we have a grant for the one that want to build on top of Nosana, that have like cool AI use cases, and we want to support that. So feel free to apply. The team is on top of it, and we're also accessible. If you have any questions and so on, you can contact us on Twitter, on Telegram, and so on and so on. We can jump in a call, we can discuss, and so on. So really, that's all right. That's the way we move. We're really here to bring value, to support like the AI builders, the different startups, and the different organizations that want to run AI workloads.
Nice.
And yeah, David, if you need at some point some compute and so on, you know where to find us as well.
We know where to find you. We will contact you.
Exactly.
You will find us. Nice. All right. As a closer, we're just under 1 hour, about 45 minutes in. I feel like this is a good time to wrap it up. And, we had a very thoughtful conversation. I feel like it went a little bit technical at times, but it also did work in favor of a lot of the audience. And it's also, there's going to be recording on the YouTube channel. You can also find the recording on X in case you're just catching up with us. Lots of things to learn about. Both Bourgeois and David are very skilled in their fields, and I feel like bringing the two worlds together actually brings a very fruitful conversation. For a closing speech, let's keep it short, but let's keep it sweet. David, is there anything you want to say to the audience right now who are watching this live or maybe are recording, about yourself, about Theoric, about how you feel about this call?
I guess I made my point with sort of my call to action, what I would like everybody to do. But obviously, I don't have a view on the audience, but I appreciate everybody coming in, attending, and to our community or those who are checking us out right now, appreciate your continued interest and support in what it is we're building for Theoric, and we're really in it for the long term and want to build something sustainable and great for the AI and Web3 industries for the long term. So, yeah, thank you all for the support and listening in today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
BJ?
I will go in the same direction. Like, thank you to the audience, to the community, to the people that believe in the vision. And the thing that I will add as well, feel free to share your feedback, to give it a try and so on. I know the market is bad, but we're here for you guys. So if you give it a try, if you need anything, you know where to find us.
No, thank you, gentlemen. The call to action is down in the banner. You can see, follow us both our accounts on X's, and there you can find all the links to the website, all the information you need about the mainnet launch from Theoric and the grants program from us at Nosana. Let's keep the conversation flowing. Both of us have our own socials, so get in touch with us if you need anything. We'll be happy to help. We're very active on Discord, especially there. David, where is the community most active? Discord as well?
We have a Discord, yeah. That would be where the community is most active.
Okay. So
the link is on our website, Theoric.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you. So you know where to find us. We're both very active on Discord. And I'll be closing today's live session by saying thank you to both of you. Thank you, Bourgeois. Thank you, David, for joining us. I feel like it was a wonderful session. I feel like the discussion went very well. I feel we learned something new. And that would be it from us today. Follow us for more live sessions. We're going to be bringing in experts from the space every now and then. We'll keep you updated with announcements. So if you want to learn something new, stick around, and that will be it from us. Thank you, and everyone. Have a pleasant evening, morning, day, wherever you are, and see you around.
Yeah.
See ya. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.